Tonight I want to talk about something. It's more of a story time, but I'm going to incorporate something that's been on my heart at least for the last probably 10 days. Something that I've just been thinking about and being proactive and all that kind of stuff. Who's ever heard of the story of the Good Samaritan, the parable that Jesus talked about in Luke chapter 10? Let's see, you got my picture up here. Yeah, I took a picture of Nick and put it up there. So I don't think he's back there. So what that means in this story, and I'm going to open it up to you here in just a few minutes. Get off your donkey and do something. Now, I had some ask me, they're like, don't you think that can be read the wrong way? It depends on how you look at it. But I think it's very imperative to what the story or what the parable dictates and what the meaning behind it actually is. So if you have your Bible, physical or electronic, I'd like for you to come to Luke chapter 10. Starting in verse 30. Starting in verse 30, right? Yes. Say, I got it when you got it. Oh, there's one. I have two. If I get three, I'll start. No, it's up on the screen.
I got it.
Sean, because Ginger just wants me to stop talking. Starting in verse 30, it says, Jesus replied with a story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. By chance, a priest came along, but when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there, but he also passed by on the other side. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged him. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn where he took care of him. The next day he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here. Now, which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by the bandits? Jesus asked. The man replied, the one who showed him mercy. And then Jesus said, yes, now go and do the same. So we have these 2 guys. If we go back to verse 31. It says, by chance a priest. A priest was a man of God. He was someone who, like a pastor of a church. And he's walking by, and he sees a guy who's been beat up. Now, when I think beat up, and the story was a parable, and it's probably more literal than it's figurative, but I look at it at the figurative angle of a man that was beat up, busted and disgusted, tore up from the floor up, beat up from the feet up, all that kind of stuff. He was messed up. He was in a bad place. I think of somebody who is going through a situation in life that nobody understands, that nobody is reaching out, that they've just been put at the bottom of the food chain, for lack of better words. And they have had no one help them, no one reach out, even though they're off by themselves. Even though they're sitting at that lunch table by themselves. Even though they're sitting out on the playground by themselves. Or they're not the one that talks to people when they're at work. And there's an obvious reason. There's something going on in their life, and you can tell that they are dealing with something in their life. So then this priest comes along, and he sees this man laying by the road, and he pretty much just turns his nose up. He's just like, I ain't got time for this. I'm a priest. I preach. That's what I do. I take care of the church. I take care of the live stream. I take care of the lights. I take care of the cafe, right? Or I'm the youth pastor, and I'm just supposed to be there on football nights and on Wednesday nights and not show up any other time. That's the mentality this guy was. So the next verse says a temple assistant. How many are temple assistants? How many are assistants in this church? Anybody who serves at any capacity in this church is a servant in the church. Or an assistant. The temple assistant walked over and looked at him. The volunteer at church walked over there. The cafe worker, the Sunday school teacher, the piano player, the worship leader, the lady who does the women's ministry, walked over and saw this dude laying on the ground that has had everything just taken away from him, has had every reason to give up and to quit, has had every reason to just hate people and hate life. And yet this person that comes and walks by and helps people every single week in children's church, helps somebody every single week in the nursery, helps somebody every single week in the youth group as helping out with stuff, thinks they're just too good. And so they walk by this broke person, this busted person, this person that is at their wits' end, that's had everything stripped from them because they think they're too good. Now some of us have been either a priest or been a temple assistant. Maybe not that exact title, but whether you've been that person in school that you've been the popular person, or you've been the person with the best grades, you've been the class president, you've been in some sort of light. That's kind of how I picture the priest. Is he's the one that everybody throws rocks at. He's the one that's living in the glass house. That's what I'm talking. Somebody who has influence in other people's lives. Yet they look at those who are not where they are and look down on them. Verse 33. Then a despised man, a despised Samaritan, came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. So when he walked up to this guy on the road, he was just disgusted. This dude was messed up. So in verse 34, he went over to him and soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged him. Now, this ain't like this Pompeii olive oil that you get from the grocery store. This ain't the wine that you get at the $3.99 section of the grocery store. This is that good stuff. This is that stuff that they clean stuff with. And the olive oil actually holds a value in the custom of that time. And he's using these things to nurse someone, to help to bring them back to life, to soothe their wounds, and to clean them up. And he didn't just leave them there. He didn't just say, you know what? I said a nice thing. I helped you out. Give you a Joel Osteen pamphlet, or gave you a track that you can. Y'all know what tracks are? You ever seen them things? It's like it had like, are you going to heaven type thing? You find them in bathroom trash cans a lot of times. Nobody reads it. But I did something good. The Lord loves you. I'll be praying for you. That's my favorite. Oh, I'll be praying for you. And you don't ever think twice about it once you walk away from that person. Let's be honest. We've all done it. But he didn't just leave him there. He said, then he put the man on his own donkey, on his own ride. How many times have you put someone in a place or in a position to that thing was carrying you, but you put them on a place and now they can be carried? You put somebody ahead of yourself, in other words. You put someone ahead of yourself. And took him to an inn and took care of him. The next day, he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins. Money. So, let's go back. He cleans him up with oil and wine. He cleans his wounds, and he puts him on his own way of transportation. And then he don't stop there. Then he takes his dude to a hotel. I don't think it was like, a motel or a Holiday. I think it was like probably a Holiday Inn Express or a Country Inn Suites. I think he got the continental breakfast the next day. I think he got to have the swimming pool out there. He was probably hurt, so he probably couldn't swim. But he took care of this man. And then he said, if the bill goes higher, I'll cover it. What am I getting at? The other two people, the people who held a position, who was in the light, who was popular, who people knew their name, was too good to go and help this guy who was hurting. But this lowly Samaritan guy, probably wasn't a rich guy, probably didn't have all kinds of stock and land and cattle, all that kind of stuff. Stop to help somebody who is in need. Now you might say, oh, well, I don't walk across people that's been beat up on the side of the road and been robbed and their cloaks torn and all that kind of stuff. But I look in here and I say, man, there's such potential. There's such outgoing personalities in this room. I'm not telling you to go and get somebody who's been in a motorcycle accident and nurse them to help with wine and oil. It's not what I'm telling you. There are broken people that you come in contact with daily. There are people that you work with that you come in contact with daily. There are people in your school, on your team, that need to hear the message of Jesus. That need to know that not only are you going to take care, you're going to nurse my wounds, which means I'm going to make sure and tell you it's going to be all right. Not only are you going to put me on the donkey, which means you're going to put me in the same transportation as you are. I'm not saying car, but it's emotion, it's movement. It's time that we get off of what I've always heard as a kid was get off your high horse. But in this case, to get off your donkey and do something. Be like the Samaritan and do something. You see people, more people than I probably do in a week, every single day. I'm at the church 4 or 5 days a week, and my greatest crowd that I see is on Sundays. But some of you guys go to a school that's got a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 or so kids. We're 5 miles from a high school. This room should be crawling with people that are hungry and want to see God do something in their life. But what are you doing? What are you doing to make that happen? Are you one of those people that's just going to walk by when you see somebody's in need of something and not give them the time of day? Or are you going to be that Samaritan man that gets off the donkey and goes and not only helps them heal, puts them on the donkey, but moves them to a place to where they can be restored and where they can get better? See, I like to think that the church is the place of restoration in this story. I like to think that the price that he talks about, that if it goes beyond what he expected it to be, the price that was paid was actually a price that was given in the form of a red substance called the blood of Jesus. The payment for the restoration for somebody's soul has already been paid. All you have to do is be the vehicle that gets them here. You have to be the one that goes out there and says, I don't know what's going on in your life, but let me tell you about somebody who can help you. It ain't me. It ain't Pastor Justin. I can't help him. But God will use people like you and use people like me, the Samaritans who are going to move and do something, be productive. Quit waiting on somebody else to pick up the slack that you should do. Or quit waiting on someone else to do the job thinking they're going to do it. I'm the type of person, I don't ask for help a lot. I'm learning as I get older I need to because my body depends on it. But I'm not the type of person that just asks for help. I just don't. I'm the type of person that when I see a job that needs to get done, I do it. If I see a project around the church or around the house, I work on it. I'm better here at the church than I am at home. I can just ask my wife. But I see something needs to be done, and I get it done. Today we had our upgrade with our Comcast internet and all that kind of stuff, and we're trying to, y'all seen all the production that we've seen up here and the stuff that's going on downstairs. When there's something needs to be done, we have a time frame that we want to get it done. And that's that day. We want to get it done today. I don't want it to be something that we have to pack up and clean up and then pull it all out tomorrow. I want to get it done today. We've got to have that same attitude when it comes to reaching people for Jesus. We're not going to wait for tomorrow. We're going to take care of business today. It's easier probably sometimes to walk by the hurt people because you don't want to get all up in their business, or you feel like they even want to talk about it. But guys, I'm here to tell you, right there it says take care of this man or this woman or this boy or this girl, whatever it is. I can't reach the ones that you can reach, but you have full access. You have the opportunity to not walk by people who are hurt. You have the opportunity to not walk by those that have been robbed. There's people that's been robbed of innocence. There's been people that's been robbed of their joy. There's been people that's been robbed of their confidence in other people. And you have every single tool and key that you need and resource to show them the love of Jesus. It's not a physical thing. It's a spiritual thing. Joel, come on.
Guys, let me tell you that it's not only the people that you see that are in the corner at your school. It's not only the people that you see in your work that are not talking to someone or staying to themselves. It's not only the people that are broken, that are physically broken, that you see. And I'm like, I want to tell you this because this happened to me as a grown adult, okay? Even where I'm at. The people that are broken and that you think are perfectly fine could be the ones that are doing something to you. Could be the one that's talking about you. Could be the one that's hurting you. Could be the one that is your best friend and they say something that may hurt your feelings. But instead of retaliating against those people and walking past them and saying, forget you, you are not worthy of me even talking to you. Love them. Share that love that you have in your heart that somebody else is giving you, because I'm sure there's been a time in your life where you were broken, where you were hurting, and someone picked you up. And someone loved you when you needed it the most. I know there's times that I've hurt people and that I've turned my back on people. And instead of them retaliating and being mad at me or ugly to me, they loved me because that's when I needed it the most. So it's not just the people that you see on the side. It's not just the people that are lonely, that are broken. It's those that are closest to you too. It's those that could be just down the hallway. You know, I had that happen to me this week. I didn't talk to this girl. I didn't talk to this woman, this mother, very often. But for whatever reason, she had some stuff that she was dealing with me. I had no idea. She was ignoring me. I had no idea. And guys, I'm a grown adult and this stuff happens. But told Miss Ginger today, in my flesh, I wanted to be mean. I wanted to be ugly. I wanted to say things that somebody probably shouldn't say. But instead, I chose to love her. Because what I didn't know was that she's going through something. In her home, in her work life, with her kids. She's going through more than I could ever imagine going through. So what I choose to do is I will pray for her. Because that's going to do more for her than me retaliating against her. So remember that and think about that whenever you go in your schools. If you have someone that you feel is upset with you, or they just may not have, like Pastor Justin said, they may not have something that you think is worthy of even looking at. Give them the chance. Give them the opportunity to love them. Because that might just be what they need in that moment.